And Matt, I think that's what I'm getting at.
I agree.
And that's what I'm getting at with you. It's not a disagreement, because for me, it's not a matter of having a horse in the race one way or the other. This is about presenting the facts of what his campaign has delivered. This is not left or right leaning. It's saying if you are appealing to middle class people, folks like we know, people in our families every day, what are you selling them other than your own wealth is my point.
Look, I agree. If that's what your point is, I agree with it completely, and I agree with the governor's point, which is that's why presidential campaigns take a long time in America. You have these early skirmishes where it's about name ID and fistfights that happen on stages, and then it moves to what are your ideas for the country. And there's no question that if Donald Trump is to make the transition, he's going to have to put meat on the bone, and I think he's up to that challenge. And by the way, I don't have a horse in this race either, but I do believe one thing, which is I actually think the Trump candidacy and these outsiders are good for our party. Is
it good for Jeb Bush, and is he fighting back in a way that you would advise him, since you've worked with his brother?
Yeah, no, I know Governor Bush well and have a very regard for him, and I think actually there is a case to be made where this could help him. You know, Republicans tend to like the next guy standing and having a leading candidate that is safe and they're comfortable with. Jeb Bush is that candidate for a lot of Republicans, and if this Republican nominating process looks too chaotic for a lot of our traditionalists, they might start flocking to Jeb Bush, fearing that this could go on too long in the year, but these things are yet to be determined.
But they've happened over and over again, as Governor Rendell pointed out. It's kind of a Groundhog Day where you will have a Herman Cain, and eventually the party rallies around, surprise, surprise, Mitt Romney, as they did. But let me go back to Katie Tur, who is standing by at this Trump rally. So, Katie, you've talked to a lot of people there. What are they saying is the appeal? Are they worried about their pocketbooks? Are they worried about immigration? What are they saying to you here?
They're worried about all of those things, and what they like about Donald Trump is that he is the anti-establishment candidate for now. They like that he's speaking his mind. They like that he's not PC. They have a general mistrust for politicians. They have a general mistrust for the media, and what Trump is doing is he's going out and he's saying your politicians are lying to you and your media is lying to you. Here's what I'm going to do. But he's talking in very big, grand terms about how wealthy he is and how successful he is. He's promoting himself at every opportunity, but he hasn't laid out any specific policy plans. He says he wants to build a wall between the U.S. and Mexico. He hasn't said how that wall would be built, who would finance it, other than saying that the Mexicans would finance it. He wouldn't necessarily say how he could get that done. He talks about bringing jobs back from China and Japan and Mexico, places where he's farmed out some of his jobs, but he hasn't said how he's going to bring those jobs back. He's definitely speaking to a base of people who are angry, but the next step for him will be to lay out a policy plan and to show exactly what he would do when he was office, not talk about all the amazing things he says he's done so far.
And I think that's what obviously his critics are saying. And what we were discussing there is, Matt, as well as Katie Tur is covering his campaign, when will we see, as Governor Rendell put it, the meat on the bones here?
Well, I think we're going to have to see it look, this is the next transition of the race. This is the very first debate. This is the first time that Republicans will see these candidates on a stage together, and they're going to have to start to put some specifics about the policies they'll stand for. I think it's a mistake for these candidates to run out too early with all their agenda on every issue. This is the first step in unveiling where they're going to go from here. So Donald Trump has time, but there's no question that this is the next step. What are the specific policies? What is your plan for getting America back?
All right, and just quickly, Governor Rendell, I'm super out of time, but is it fair to compare Bernie Sanders and his enthusiasm that he's drawn in to what we're seeing with the Trump rallies?
Well, it's a little bit appealing to disaffected Americans. They're disaffected for different reasons, so I think there's a comparison there.
All right, Governor Rendell, thank you very much. Matt, great pleasure having you on. Katie Tur, thank you for sticking around. I know you'll have more coverage of that rally happening in